Welcome back, and now tune into the other side of sports. I'm your host, Laws, in the building. Got my man Aaron, and we have a special guest joining us today. Holly Cotton is rocking out with us today to add to some spice to our conversations that we like to have, because you already know we like to talk about everything. Uh, Holly, since you're joining us, just tell the people where you're from, where you grew up, a little bit about yourself, give them some context. So,
Okay, sure.
oh yes.
Well, I'm originally from Louisiana and I live in Houston, Texas. And I've been here about 17 years now, but I'm still straight LA. And, and so I am a nurse. I have a podcast with Ebony Magazine, also
Mhm.
called Beyond the Fit. I am a personal trainer and I do a whole bunch of other stuff. I have my own brands called Strong Squad. So, I have a whole bunch of constantly moving pieces. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
What had you start the podcast Beyond the Fit? Because it's like really like a health and wellness, and you kind of touch on a lot of different facets of health. So, which is very interesting. What caused you to start down that path, or what like kind of sparked you be like, I need to try to help and give this way, right?
Honestly, I've always been, I guess, and I'm also a college professor. So for me, like teaching and excuse me, education has always been like really big. I mean, even being a nurse, you do a lot of patient teaching stuff. So for me, I've always just been a talker. I'm also an author. So talking and doing that kind of just like motivational stuff has always been like part of my page. If you look back 5 years from now, in my page or in my socials or whatever, you can see that I've always done that. And Ebony actually reached out to me because they launched their podcast network and they were like, hey, would you like to have a health and wellness show on, with Ebony's podcast? And I'm like, yeah, of course I would. So that kind of just started it. We were like I think they started in like November. So I only have, I think, like 25 episodes now, but I mean, it's been definitely a good experience. I've gotten to meet a lot of people. A lot of notoriety goes with obviously a big name like Ebony. So
Mhm.
podcast wasn't really what I was going for. I was just doing my thing, talking or whatever. And I guess one of those videos got some play or whatever. And then they were like, hey, this girl seems to see, she's easy to talk to and she seems to
Mhm.
know what she's talking about. Like, get her a show. And then here we are with Beyond the Fit on Ebony Podcast Network.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Definitely, like your content. I'm always, as a fellow podcast, always like looking for other podcasts and just kind of see what other people do well, try to like pick and always just develop and grow, in the craft or whatever. So that's what's up. I do have a question of the day. So
Okay,
we
let's
we
roll with
we
it.
we're gonna jump into it and see what this is about. It says this guy has been a friend of ours for a long time, but recently he and my wife have been messaging a lot. I've
Mm,
always been okay with it, as the possibility of there being anything between them was almost nil. Initially, she'd show me and tell me what they were talking about, because it was general conversations, and I'd often get messages from him too. But recently, it seems they're messaging all the times on various platforms. Because of the history and the way my wife has spoken of him in the past, I was still confident that there was nothing but curiosity. Um, there was nothing but curiosity got the better of me, and I've now seen some messages that suggest there may be something there after all. I only saw a handful of messages, but it seemed to suggest they were trying to meet up on an occasion that I wouldn't be aware of. There were also a couple of messages that were possibly suggestive. I don't really know what to do now. I feel like I don't have enough evidence to confront my wife. It's possible that I've seen it out of context because I was only looking at a text message, not at the other platforms. I feel like I'm going to have to try to look at the phone again, but she doesn't leave it around as much as she used to. Plus, if it turns out there's nothing, then I don't want to have to uh, be looked at as invading her privacy. What should I do? Oh man.
Well, first of all, I will tell you this. Women always start relationships. They're usually emotional affairs before physical affairs. So
Uh-oh.
men, like that's why men are always like, it was just one time or it was just sex. And that's why women usually like wind up forgiving the man and taking him back or whatever, because it's supposed to be like that's just the caveman philosophy. And women, we start having that banter, that conversation, it
Uh-oh.
might be getting boring. I mean, when you've been in a marriage or relationship, I don't know. I didn't hear how long they've been together, but they're definitely having an emotional affair, which is way worse than a physical affair. You'd actually rather she just go and get it and be done. And
No,
then
I don't even know if that alternative is good either.
no, I'm saying like that might have been easier to forgive, because once you're doing all of this, like women will catch feelings for that too. Like we love that, that emotionalness.
That
And if he's
attention.
giving her what she's not getting at home, it's like they're basically having an affair. So
Ern?
Yeah, she definitely
might be
outside.
a little bit too late.
Yeah, she's definitely outside. It's and then once she gets it in her mind that she's curious about this other dude, until she fulfills that curiosity, it's nothing homeboy can do to like get that out of her mind. That's just the way I see it. So either way, it's an L, because you don't have enough evidence to confront her. Because even if she is doing something, there's nothing concrete for you to point to. You're gonna look like a loser. Like you done gone through her phone.
Oh, he already off the ledge already.
Just foreplay. Like that's just that's all
Right.
just like getting it together, all of that talking. Like that's gonna make it even better when they do finally hook up. So yeah, he better call her out quick before they cross over. That's what I gotta say. He better quit worrying about like, look, I need to know what's going on with whatever, because if you allow that,
put the cards on the table. He got to just drop the cards on the table and be like, "Hey, what's happening?"
I don't know what kind of sign. What is his horoscope sign? Because because I need him to be a little more assertive with.
Yeah, that Batman spine little flangly though. His spine, he just not. Bro,
You just gotta call it quits. Get out early before you get to the point where you start to see.
No, he married to her.
Oh, it's his wife. I thought it was his wife.
Girlfriend. Right? Yeah, no, the other guy, he gonna hit it and go, but she's stuck with him.
Yeah.
Cold world. I hope cold world. It's over.
No, what do you tell? He got set up cameras in the house, or just what
he just needs to be honest. That's the whole thing. Like he'd be like, look, now I done seen these messages, and I just want to know what's up, what's going on, and I need to put a stop to it. Like that's the whole point of being married to somebody. Like when you're dating, you just drop them. Like, you know what? There's too many red flags. I'm out of here. But when you're married, like you have to be able to communicate. And you got to be able to check your partner, and they got to be able to check you, or else you're not gonna have a marriage.
That's a fact. Dang. Bro, you got to come to the table with the yeah.
Keep us posted on what happens though, because now we want to know. We're invested now, so let us know.
All right, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. My man gonna be crying in the fetal in the shower. We'll finish. We're done. It's over.
Right. All by myself.
Yeah. He finished. Oh man. Okay, so I know we always have spirited conversations. If you've seen some of our content, we've talked about just different situations and scenarios that happen at least in this space for modern women. We've gone over Kevin Samuels, of course, rest in peace, the late Kevin Samuels, who died it's a couple weeks now, like a month now. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Kevin Samuels? I mean, people have very different opinions about some of his philosophies and things that he speaks out there. I mean, you didn't tell us your age, but if you've seen any of his content, he has philosophies around older women, around, younger women. I mean, older men too, but primarily, I think he's most known for his comments around the modern woman. What are your thoughts on his philosophies and stuff?
Honestly, I really don't have any thoughts on him. I didn't give him a second thought. So
Okay.
the way that I maintain my energy is that
Okay.
if people are, if I feel like you have a negative aura and you're just constantly surrounded with negativity, I kind of just don't pay attention to you. But I do know I've seen things that he said.
Mhm.
I don't understand the women calling and asking for advice. Like that was kind of weird for me because I never want someone to insult me directly. So that was like kind of almost like I'm wondering, questioning their mental health that they were
Mhm.
even asking him for
Subject
advice.
themselves to that.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. I'm like, so he's going to insult you because you're overweight and whatever else. But my whole thing about Kevin Samuels and men that are constantly, because I see people, like I see men all the time doing podcasts, and it's always about the man and getting the man and getting the man and getting the man. And for me, as I guess I'm a modern woman or whatever, I was married for 17 years. So for me, marriage is not a priority for me. I don't ever want to get married again. I honestly, I shouldn't have got married this time.
Why would you? Why would you not get married again?
I
That's very.
don't want to be married. And that's the point. When men are doing these dating shows, they think that every woman is dying for a man. They're dying to be a wife. They're dying like, those are not my priorities. Like, hey, I'm cool. I have a couple of great friends. I have guy friends. I hodgepodge, build a man. We all, like, it's fine. Whoever, I might want funny one day, I might want serious one day, so for me, I like dating. I like doing what I do. Like, I don't want to be held down and tied down. Like, so whenever I hear these men doing these shows about, hey, you're not going to get a man to marry you, and you're not, and I'm just like, but bro, nobody even said that's not every woman's priority to be married. Like, I don't need to be a wife to feel like I'm validated or to be cared about or to be happy and complete or whatever. That's just a supplement to all of what I've already built. So that's my opinion about him and men that do that.
Yeah. Okay. I think you unpacked a lot there. I do agree that, and I think when we talk about like happiness and where true happiness lies, like, I don't think that it really lies in another person, right? Or
Right.
companionship, right? I think that can add to happiness and be like an asset to someone's, feeling fulfilled and thrilled in their life, but it's not the end all be all, and you look at I think too, what you like,
Decide.
what the value in like the value in companionship and being married. Like, I think that their marriage a lot of times gets a bad rap. Like, people look at them like, oh, like, marriage is, you say you were married for 17 years, but then you're like, it almost sounds, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but like you almost regret the experience.
Well, I think whenever you marry the wrong person, and I think that was, and I think also being married and not growing together, because that was a huge, I guess, demise for my marriage, because, I wanted to move past who I was at 20s, and who I was at 30s. And, if you're not growing together and then you're competing, like, it's just a lot of stuff. So when you have a partner that's not parallel to you and is not with the same mindset and whatever, it makes it very difficult. So it's not necessarily that I regret that actual marriage, because there's always a love for someone, especially when you spend, half your life with them. But, it's just, I guess for me, I don't know if I necessarily needed to be married to feel completed. Like, and I'm perfectly okay. Like, I'm fine with monogamy. Don't get it confused. I'm okay with monogamy. I just don't think that it has to be a physical, legal document in order for us to be in a monogamous relationship. And that's where I am at this point in life. And, the person that I talk to has to understand, like, I'm not going to be your wife. We can be together and I'll be loyal and we can do that. But I don't feel the need to have a legal document that says I am someone's wife anymore. So
Internet.
not every woman needs that as a priority. Like, I love companionship. I love men. I love having, sex. So like, that's all great stuff. It's just not necessarily, I don't need a legal document on you to make me feel like I'm cared about or fulfilled.
Yeah. So again, I think everyone's entitled to that, right? They're entitled to that perspective. But do you think that it could change?
No,
With
not for me.
okay.
And again, I don't speak for all women. I speak for me.
Okay.
So a lot of women, that's their goal. They want to be a wife. They want to do that. They want to whatever. And like, a lot of times I'll see things like, don't do wifely duties for somebody that's not your man. Like, so for me, I'm just like, right. Well, if I have a man, I'm going to, like, especially if it's a good man and I'm happy, I'm going to be submissive. I'm going to have that. I just don't feel like I need a legal document that says that that's my man.
Okay. Okay. Aaron, you got any questions?
No, I think the context kind of makes sense because a big part of the conversation is kind of predicate on women who have never had the experience of being married or being chosen by a man. And I think that's why when you get into these, like, you get over a certain age, a lot of women have never had that experience, and society tells them, hey, you're not complete, or you're not a woman if you've never been a mother, or at least chosen by a man in that way where he puts a ring on your finger and actually walks down the aisle. So hearing her say that, it made 100% sense. Versus the conversations that I think kind of get contentious when you talk about women who have never had that experience, and try to kind of relay that same message, almost like a consolation prize or something like that, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. On to some sports.
To clarify, not every woman wants to be a wife. Thank you. So you can't hurt some of our feelings because we didn't want to be a wife in the first place. Now,
well, I'm gonna just say this: you're in a small minority. There's a lot of women who say that, but deep down inside, that's not. They say that outwardly, but inwardly, that's not what they desire truly. And again, it comes down to your choices, your options, what's available to you, right? So, if I get turned down from a job at a CEO company because they don't want me, right? Like, well, you can keep that, like, but I mean, I think to Aaron's point, you've had an experience that most women desire, right? And if they're not getting it by a certain time, then the default is, I don't want it.
Right.
But that's not really truly at the core, right? So
right. I just think that I just don't think that those words like should be interchangeable. Like, I don't think monogamy should be interchangeable with wife. Like, I don't think that relationship should be interchangeable with marriage, because a lot of people, like you said, they're single and they want that monogamous relationship. They want to be loved. They want all of that. But, and once they get that, then they may be like, oh, okay, I'm fine with this or whatever. And I'm okay with just having this forever. I personally have a lot of things that I have acquired, with my career and things that I have done. And I don't need the legalities of prenups and signing this and doing that and all of that. And now I have a home. You have, like, for me, it's too much. Like, I don't want to deal with all of that again. Sell my house. We buy a house together. Like, I like the peace that I have where I am. I like the things that I've done. And I like, what I like dating. I don't mind dating. I like dating. I like meeting.
Really? Out in these streets?
I didn't say having sex with everybody, but I do enjoy dating and a male companionship. Yes, I do.
Okay. On to some sports.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson has two other cases added on apparently 66 women he got massages from in 17 months. He was
I'm just dying at the massages. Like, bro, I'm gonna need you to go to Massage Envy or Massage
he on Instagram soliciting. Apparently the Houston Texans helped give him NDAs or supply him with NDAs to the women. He's been very like settled on the fact that he's not wanting to pay out these women. Like he's trying to clear his name, but I don't think he's going to be able to clear his name on this one. It's just, I mean, is there a chance that Deshaun Watson just pays the women off to just get from under this rock that he's under right now? Like,
if he gets a judgment, he's going to have to pay. Or you mean
right?
Just to
I was going
settle?
to say if the judge says,
I mean, just to settle.
I think that's kind of an admission of guilt. So it would be hard to kind of stand your ground this long and to take the stand that you haven't done anything illegal and then to make a settlement at this point.
And it's almost like the Bill Cosby situation. Like when two people came out, everybody was like, nah, like, no, not Bill. Ain't no way. No. And then when like 185 people come out, now everybody's like, well, hold up. That's a whole lot of people. For him
exactly.
It's gonna hurt my heart too, dog. Cosby Show is the greatest show of all time. My goodness. And I just like, it's hard to separate the two. Like, it's like, oh, this guy was a pervert.
Shoot, ridiculous. Bill was getting it, okay? Bill was getting it. Bill been getting it.
So Deshaun right there in that same class. Is there any way he escapes? Like, I mean, it's Cleveland. They like haven't cut him from the team. They haven't fined him. They go on business as usual, practices and everything. And after, when he gets up to the podium, he just like, my lawyers and stuff going to handle that. And basically just, that's how he's playing it.
And I think to your point about the settlement, if you were going to make a settlement, you do that in the beginning before you get 50 other women coming out and accusing you of the same thing. Because at that point, publicly, you're guilty at a minimum as a pervert.
And not only that, but then once those women, like, especially, I mean, I don't know the caliber of women, so I'm not going to attack anyone or, I'm totally against that. But I'm just saying, when you get that momentum and you're like, yeah, they didn't have to touch me too, or they may come back. They might have been in that setting that he may not have even had an encounter with them, but he just happened to be there when she was there. So now what you going to say? Because if she's saying it, she has proof. Now I'm like, yeah, I was there and he touched me too, even though he didn't. But now the momentum is saying, hey, it's kick
him right down. Yeah, no, that's a fact. I mean, I was the way they keep coming up, like every couple months, it's a new. So is he just going to all 66? They have 66 names and just like, oh, you want to be a part of the lawsuit now? Come on, some money in there for you. All we need you to do is X, Y, and Z. Because I just think that it's making it tougher and tougher. I don't know if he even divulged all of the women's names to the NFL. And if there's a case where they're like looking at some information that they weren't privy to, like, ho, you didn't tell us about this. Like, it's just bad.
If you had 66 appointments in 17 months, he probably doesn't even remember every single woman over that short time span that he didn't looked up on IG and tried to hook up with in the massage. It's like just the decision making to me is what I'm the most disappointed about.
Go
ahead.
No, I'm gonna piggyback on that too. Yeah, like just to be a person with the power, the things that you have going for you, and you're doing this dumb crap. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, exactly. and the thing is like I don't care when people are like people will say that all the time about NFL players, NBA players, whoever, anyone who goes pro sports. They'll be like, oh, well, they didn't come from a good home, or they didn't come from money, or they didn't. Listen, you have a ton of advisors, you have a ton of teammates, you have people you see what they're doing, you can emulate what they're doing, so you ain't got to do no dummy stuff like this. Like this,
you don't have to do this. This is down pervert lane. Like this is just what are you doing, bro?
And even that, like, whenever you have that name and you have that reputation and you have, like, it's got to be like, I'm telling you, ain't no ass in the world worth losing my statue for, my reputation. Even me, like, whenever I meet people, because I go to a lot of like mixers and things like that, and I meet people and they'll be like, oh, this is Holly Cotton. And when men trying to hug me, like, they try to do the waist hug, and I'm like, shoulder hug, because nobody's even gonna, because I don't want you going later on, because who knows what kind of dummy stuff you on, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, well, she came to my room or whatever. Whatever. Here's the picture. So even me as a woman, I'm like, and I'm not even Deshaun Watson. I'm just Holly Cotton. So he should really have been like, no, not risking it all. That's stupid.
Yeah. No. Well, apparently he don't feel like he risking anything. The Bama got $230 million paid from the Browns, and he living lavish right now. I mean, we talked about it the other day. Like, when stuff like this happens, until you have an adverse, like something adversely impacts you, like either financially. I mean, yes, the media and stuff like that, but I think he's probably come numb to that. He might be on Instagram now looking for services, because there really hasn't been no real punishment for real. Like, I mean, that's
called you gonna learn today.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't come with anything. I mean, yes, the allegations in themselves are pretty damning, but I mean, the blow, like that crucial blow that would just really have them to be like, no, I think has not hit yet.
Right. So for anyone that's listening and they may not know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, tell them, like, what is the general complaint that the women are having with the massages?
Oh man. So Deshaun Watson allegedly is going through his social media, finding women who are in the business of massages or sometimes not, right? Asking, do they do that service or giving massages? Then having them either come to his private residence or going to a private residence that they have available to do the services. Then he's coming in there with a washcloth on, right? Laying down, butt ball, Lebo all out, trying to just get them to size his man, and he is going left quick. And apparently he's made this a thing, and it's bad. It's real bad.
But I think anyone that's watching or listening is going to appreciate that very thorough explanation.
Yeah, he solicited service the wrong way. He trying to basically create his own happy ending.
Like, just be honest and just be like, hey, I think my DMs full of people like, oh my God, you're so sexy. Yeah, shooting your shot. Like, just be honest from the get-go.
Yeah.
But I will say too, I do see a lot of those, like, now the men tattoo people, like, oh Lord, they got I'm like, what kind of, like, not tattoo, massage people, and it's like the men now,
they oil them
they're
up.
like, the girls are
they doing
like doing all of this and the booty cheeks, and I'm just like, oh, I feel
it not taking a turn.
I was like, what kind of massages is this? So I don't know if that's the kind of massage he was looking for, but
we doing 5-star hotels only. Let my wife tell me somebody coming to the house. I'm like, hold on, what? Nah. Yeah,
no, and they got their legs wrapped around him anyway. But back to Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Yeah, Deshaun. Yeah, bro. He might be finished. It just doesn't get better by the day. Like, it just continues to get worse. Before we get out of here,
that, but then you have to deal with also the women like that you're dealing with as well. Like, you have to know a caliber of woman that can handle that type of situation. Like, okay, I DM'd you, hey, you want to have a massage, blah blah blah. If they walk in and they act like they're surprised or whatever, like, cut it right there.
Yeah, he's not taking the context clues.
Yeah, like, okay,
clearly they're not with it. You just
right. But then if I show a little ball hanging out the side, and you okay with it, then I'm like, oh, okay, all right. okay.
Yeah,
She okay. She's
yeah,
okay with it.
he going for gas.
Right.
He
But
not even
they
waiting
come
for
out and like,
confirmation or
ew.
that,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. Like he not waiting for consent. He not even
But
trying.
you got to keep it context. When you the guy like that, you filthy rich, and everybody kisses your ass from the time you 14 years old. They legit don't see anything as no outside of you damn near having to fight Bama sometimes. Like you've seen how aggressive some of these football players are. So it's you would think he'd be smart enough to have enough common sense to be like, one, I'm black, so you got to be very careful about how you navigate these situations. You can't do the same thing that you see other quarterbacks do or other guys do. You just got to be conscious of who you are and where you are. And so, like you said, like with the context clues, you just DMing complete strangers showing up the same day. You haven't had a chance to vet these people or be like,
yeah, like you got to feel them out first. Or they trustworthy.
Here's square. Here's square.
So no foreplay or nothing. He
Here's
just get to the house and get right to it. So it's
here's square.
yeah.
Here's
Yeah,
square. But I tell you that probably worked one or two times though.
But not 66 times in 17 months.
Yeah,
that's out of control.
Right.
That's out of control.
Yeah,
Lock that man up.
Yeah, that's out of control.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
He gonna be in there with R. Kelly. Go ahead. Yeah. And Bill Cosby
doing the same thing to him.
A few weeks ago we talked about Michael B. Jordan, Lori Harvey. They split. Done deal. Man was heartbroken. You could see it in his eyes. He had the game solo. My man about to say
the memes about him on the Megatron were killing me. And I felt bad for laughing, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my man was hurt. And then he was spotted this week. He out here. Streets have saved the day. Now, this picture was taken. We don't even know if he with this youngin or not. It just could have been a random picture. You know how the internet does, right? You already know how the internet goes. A lot of people have a lot to say about this because they're like, well, you know, Michael B. Jordan, he was with the black girl and she didn't want him. And now he back out in the streets and now he done flip-flop and went over to the other side.
But that problem? Jordan always had white girls in first place. So I don't know.
You saw his music video.
So I'm confused. Like Lori was the one that flipped it, not vice versa. Like just like they talk about Jamie Foxx with the girl, but then everybody's like, y'all remember Jamie Foxx is always like white women. Like, why are y'all making a big deal? That's his preference. He's always done it. Like, you know, so what's the big deal? Like, you want him to be with another strong black woman, blah, blah, blah. He was with Lori. She's not, I don't consider her technically, I mean, she's a brand to me. Like she's branded herself. I don't really see her as like somebody that motivates me or anything, but, you know, so she was a minority in the situation. But who says how long you're supposed to be sad after a breakup? Like there's no standard for that. Like
this is a recovery plan. What you mean? This is the recovery plan right here. This is to get back. Most times when Batmans get their heart broken, they turn savage mode. It get real
I would too. I'd be out there pimp. I'd be like, I don't give a shit about her. Like I done moved on with my life. I'm good. Like, you know who I am. I'm Michael B. Jordan. I got women that's been dying for you to screw up.
You already know his friends probably was in his ear like, bro, you Michael B. Jordan, dog.
Right.
You tripping, bro. Come on with me. Let's go out, man. So you can get me some youngins. Come on.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right.
So he gonna bounce back. I mean, it is what it is. It happens to the best of them. Well, shout out to our special guest, Holly. Appreciate you joining us, man. It was fun. We'll definitely have to have you on again.
Thank you, guys.
You know, to indulge us in our conversations as we, go down the relationship rabbit holes. You get any shout outs you want to give?
No, thank you guys for having me. Make sure you follow me on social media, Holly Cotton _. Make sure you listen to my show, Ebony Podcast Network. It's on their page. You can also look on any of Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, look under podcasts and follow Beyond the Fits. You can listen to my shows as I talk about various topics also.
Yeah. So go follow Holly. Support, check out her stuff, listen to the podcast. I listen to anytime I'm like gonna have a guest on the show, I go and like kind of creepy, but I just like go through all the content. Like I'm just like, because I want to have talking points, want to, be able to have fruitful discussion, right? So kind of got to listen to the podcast. And I'll just say, like, you go into depth about a lot of good stuff in your
Thank you.
podcast. Like
Thank
you
you.
get to the nitty gritty, right? I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
we
okay.
need you to help Deshaun Watson going forward.
I can't help that man.
Somebody like you on this team.
That man need to get baptized, dog. He need to just stay out completely out the streets, give his heart to the Lord, and change his life, or go to jail. One or the other, dog. He's on a bad path right now. So yeah, but definitely appreciate you, Holly. Hope to get you on the show again. Follow us at OSS 980 at Other Side of Sports. Shout out to Where's Buffy. Shout out to Lance J Radio, Free Agent Radio, Kicking It with G-Man. Shout out to Sports Reality, Jeremy John, Sports Talk Tasha, Jenna Garcia, and we out.